call came in at 5:07 a.m. Female found inside St. Helena Baptist. Unresponsive. Possible homicide. When officers entered the sanctuary, the storm outside fell silent, as if the heavens themselves were holding their breath. She lay beneath the pulpit, barefoot, a wedding ring glinting under the flicker of candlelight. A white choir robe soaked in crimson. The woman everyone in Haven Ridge, Georgia called the pastor's angel was dead. But what the coroner would later find, and what the congregation refused to believe, was that her death wasn't a random act of violence. It was a message written in faith and sealed in blood. Welcome to True Crime World TV. Hit subscribe, because what you're about to hear isn't just a murder story. It's a sermon about lies, loyalty, and the price of salvation. Rebecca Lowell, 41, wife of Pastor Samuel Lowell, was found bludgeoned to death inside the very church she helped renovate. Police noted that the scene looked arranged. Her body was placed at the foot of the altar, hands folded neatly, a rosary threaded between her fingers. Next to her, an open Bible, its pages stuck together with blood. The verse circled in red ink. Nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed. Luke 8 verse 17. There were no signs of forced entry, no robbery, no missing valuables, just a woman of faith, murdered inside God's house. And the only other person with a key? Her husband. Haven Ridge adored Pastor Samuel. He was charming, eloquent, the kind of man who could make sinners weep with a single verse. When he appeared on camera, voice trembling, begging for prayers, the town wept with him. But Detective Clara Mendez, who led the case, didn't buy the performance. Grief has rhythm, she later said. His didn't. Security footage showed the pastor leaving the church the night before, at 11:48 p.m., wearing a black raincoat. He told police he was preparing notes for Sunday's sermon. The coroner estimated Rebecca's time of death between midnight and 1 a.m. Then came a strange discovery. Her phone had recorded an unfinished voice memo, just 47 seconds long. The last thing Rebecca ever said was whispered, almost inaudible under the sound of thunder. He's here. The Lowells had been married for 16 years. To everyone else, they were the picture of devotion. But inside their immaculate parsonage on Elm Street, the truth was rotting. Police found letters Rebecca had written but never sent. Letters that painted a portrait of a woman living in fear. One read, "He preaches about forgiveness, but he doesn't forgive me for knowing who he really is." Then came the biggest revelation. In the church's hidden storage room, detectives found 3 unregistered bank ledgers containing donation amounts that never appeared in the church books, totaling nearly $120,000. The signature on the withdrawals? Pastor Samuel's. When confronted, he blamed Rebecca, claimed she'd taken the money to punish him for his sins. But his story shattered when forensic techs uncovered a deleted message from his phone, sent to the church's choir director, Lydia Cross, at 12:04 a.m. "It's done. You're safe now." When Lydia was brought in for questioning, she was trembling. She admitted to having an affair with Samuel, but she swore she hadn't seen him that night. "He said God would fix everything," she whispered. "I thought he meant forgiveness, not murder." Yet something about her story didn't fit. The autopsy showed Rebecca's wound wasn't consistent with the heavy candlestick found beside her, the supposed weapon. The shape of the skull fracture was sharper. Days later, investigators searching the church attic made a haunting discovery: a bloodied iron cross wrapped in cloth. DNA tests confirmed the blood matched Rebecca's, but partial prints on the handle belonged to Lydia Cross. That revelation flipped the case on its head. Had Lydia killed Rebecca in a jealous rage? Or had Samuel manipulated them both, one through scripture, the other through sin? Then came one more twist. A local hardware clerk remembered a nervous Rebecca purchasing a hidden camera 2 weeks before her death, saying she needed proof before she could confess. A murdered wife, a lying pastor, a mistress with blood on her hands. But somewhere inside St. Helena's Church is a recording that tells the real story, and it didn't stop when Rebecca died. Make sure you subscribe to True Crime World TV, because the next discovery will turn this entire investigation inside out. 4 weeks later, Detective Mendez received a package addressed only to the one who still believes. Inside was a small memory card, no return address. The footage began with the date March 2nd, 11:59 p.m. The church sanctuary. Update. Quiet. Rebecca appears on screen, setting a small camera behind a hymn book stand. She looks directly into the lens. Her voice cracks. "If you're watching this, it means he's finally done what he promised." She looks over her shoulder. A shadow passes behind her. She gasps, and the screen cuts to static. But the last frame, just before it ends, shows something chilling. Another figure steps into view. Not Samuel. Not Lydia. Someone wearing the church's deacon's pin, a man no one ever suspected. When police rushed to question him, the deacon was gone. His house was empty. A single note pinned to the door read, "Confession cleanses all." The people of Haven Ridge still pray every Sunday at St. Helena's, but they don't talk about what happened there. They don't ask why the pastor vanished, or who the third figure in that recording really was. In the next episode, we'll uncover the truth about the confession files, the cult hidden beneath St. Helena's, and the final voice message Rebecca left moments before her death. A message that will rewrite everything you think you know about faith and murder. Subscribe to True Crime World TV, because in Haven Ridge, salvation comes with a price. That final frame changed everything. The mysterious figure stepping from the shadows. Not the pastor, not his mistress, but a man wearing a deacon's pin. Within 24 hours, Deacon Paul Hensley vanished. His house was empty, his phone disconnected, and his car abandoned behind a cornfield outside Haven Ridge. Inside the glove compartment, detectives found only two things: a blood-stained hymnal and a USB drive labeled "The Confession Files." But what was on that drive? And why did Rebecca die trying to expose it? Now, let's dive into what investigators uncovered next, because this is where the story of the pastor's wife found dead twists into something darker, something far beyond a jealous affair. Detective Clara Mendez watched the recovered footage with her hands trembling. It wasn't just sermons. It was evidence, dozens of recorded confessions from members of St. Helena's congregation. But these weren't ordinary sins. They talked about money laundering, bribery, even covering up assaults, all in the name of the church. And nearly every recording ended the same way. Your sins are forgiven. Make your offering and tell no one. The voice leading the confessions? Not Pastor Samuel Lowell, but Deacon Paul Hensley. Rebecca must have discovered the recordings, proof that the church's most trusted deacon had turned the sacred confessional into blackmail. But that didn't explain why the pastor's fingerprints were found on the envelope that delivered the drive. Unless he sent it himself. 3 days later, Pastor Samuel was found, not dead, not missing, but hiding in a motel 2 counties away. When detectives burst in, he was on his knees, praying. "I didn't kill her," he said quietly. "I buried the truth, not her." He refused a lawyer, demanded to speak to Detective Mendez privately, and slid a small folded note across the table. Read, "The church has another ledger. Look beneath the baptismal font." When officers drained the old marble font, they found a sealed metal box wrapped in plastic. Inside were names, donation records, and a list titled "Chosen." Every chosen name had a number beside it, dollar amounts in the tens of thousands. Rebecca's name was at the top, marked with a red cross. Digging deeper, Detective Mendez uncovered whispers of a secret society within St. Helena's Church, the Circle of Atonement. Its members? Wealthy parishioners, town officials, and yes, clergy. Their goal was to buy forgiveness. Confess your crime, pay your price, and receive eternal pardon. It sounded like a conspiracy, until Mendez received an anonymous call. A woman's voice whispered through the static, "You're in danger." Rebecca wasn't the first. She was just the one who said no. Then click. The call traced back to a prepaid phone purchased by Lydia Cross, the choir director and Samuel's mistress. But Lydia had been in protective custody for weeks, or so they thought. When officers checked her safe house, she was gone, leaving behind only a Bible with one verse underlined in blood-red ink. "The truth shall make you free." A murdered wife, a missing deacon, and a secret circle buying absolution with blood. If this story has your heart racing, hit subscribe to True Crime World TV, because what's coming next proves that in Haven Ridge, faith wasn't just power, it was a weapon. Days later, the forensics lab finished restoring Rebecca's final video, the one that ended with static. Turns out, the footage didn't stop when the screen went black. Hidden in the corrupted data was 40 more seconds, and what it revealed left every detective in that room silent. Rebecca was alive, sitting in front of the altar, whispering, "If anyone finds this, it's not Samuel you need to fear. It's the man who gave him the pulpit." Then came the sound of footsteps. A man's shadow loomed behind her. And just before the camera fell, Rebecca looked up and said a name. The audio was faint, buried under static, but when the lab filtered it out, it became clear. She said, "Paul, please don't." It was Deacon Hensley, the same man now vanished with blood in his car and the confession files in his hand. As word leaked, the town of Haven Ridge began to fracture. Parishioners demanded the church's closure, while others accused the police of slandering God's work. But the deeper Detective Mendez dug, the darker it got. A forensic accountant traced the church's offshore transfers to a religious charity in Texas, which didn't exist. Instead, it was a shell organization tied to 3 other churches, all under the same name, the Circle of Atonement Ministries. Rebecca's murder wasn't isolated. It was part of a network, one stretching across states, laundering faith into fortune. And the one person who could expose it all? Deacon Paul Hensley. Except, by the time agents found him, it was too late. Hensley's body was discovered in an abandoned farmhouse just outside Haven Ridge. He'd been dead for at least a week, long before his disappearance made headlines. Pinned to his chest was a handwritten note. "Forgive me, Father, for I failed." But there was something else in his pocket. A torn corner of a photograph showing 3 people standing together at a pulpit. Rebecca, Samuel, and a third man no one recognized. When the image was digitally enhanced, the name tag on his robe became visible. Bishop Marcus Delane, leader of the statewide clergy network that oversaw St. Helena's Church. Suddenly it made sense. The pastor, the deacon, the money, the secret files. It all pointed upward, to a man powerful enough to silence them all. And Rebecca had found him out. What if faith wasn't her refuge, but her executioner? What if the cross she prayed under was the very symbol of her betrayal? Subscribe to True Crime World TV now, because the investigation isn't over. The next chapter takes us beyond Haven Ridge, into the bishop's mansion, where Rebecca's final secret was buried beneath his prayer room floor. The last 24 hours of Rebecca's life were now coming into focus, and every clue pointed to the same chilling conclusion. She didn't die in fear. She died fighting back. When police revisited the church, they found one final message etched faintly into the underside of the altar, carved with a nail. "He that covereth sin shall not prosper." DNA confirmed it was Rebecca's blood. And inside that very altar, hidden behind the wood panel, a small USB drive still intact. Its label, Confession Under. Detective Mendez inserted it into her laptop. The file played. Rebecca's voice, weak but steady, spoke her final words. "If this reaches the light, tell them, the pastor wasn't the only one preaching lies." Then, a male voice interrupted her, calm, deep, chillingly familiar. "You should have kept your faith, sister." A gunshot echoed through the speakers. The recording ended. Detective Mendez froze. That voice wasn't Samuel's. It wasn't the deacon's. It belonged to Bishop Marcus Delane. The pastor's wife saw truth. The church buried it. But the truth has a way of resurrecting itself. And in the coming episode, we'll go inside the bishop's mansion, where one hidden confession reveals how many more graves this holy empire left behind. Subscribe to True Crime World TV, because in Haven Ridge, faith doesn't just save souls, it silences them.